Hi, kindergarten friends. It's time for today's interactive read aloud. And today I'm going to be reading The Three Bears. This is another story by Paul Galdone. This is the next book in our text set, 15 Exploring Animal Tales. You might already be familiar with this animal tale. And in this animal tale, these three bears do act like humans. There's another character in the story, The Three Bears, that is not on the front cover. Do you know who that character might be? Well, this is Paul Galdone's version of The Three Bears. Here's his name. And before I start reading, let's talk a little bit about the parts of a book. What is this part of a book called? We call it the front cover. So if this is the front cover, then this must be called the back cover. This part of the book here, where all the pages come together, is called the spine. It holds the book together, just like your spine is a bone in your back that holds your body together. And the page that has the title on it, it's usually the first page when you open a book. That's called the title page. Can you all say title page? Okay. Well, on the front cover and on the title page, we always find the title and we find the author. And today we have the same person as the author and the illustrator. So Paul Galdone is writing the words and he is drawing the pictures. Well, let's read today to find out more about these very interesting three little bears. The Three Bears. By Paul Galdone. The Three Bears by Paul Galdone. Once upon a time, there were three bears who lived together in a house of their own in the woods. One of them was Little Wee Bear. One was Middle-Sized Bear. So this might be different than what you're used to. You might be used to calling this person Mama Bear or Mother Bear. Take you back to the right page we're on. Okay. One was called Middle-Sized Bear. That would be this bear. And the other was a Great Big Bear. They each had a bowl for their porridge. The Little Wee Bear had a little wee bowl. The Middle-Sized Bear had a middle-sized bowl, and the Great Big Bear had a great big bowl. They each had their own chair to sit in. The Little Wee Bear had a little wee chair. The Middle-Sized Bear had a middle-sized chair, and the Great Big Bear had a great big chair. Okay, so let's stop there 1 second and talk about some words you may not be familiar with. Are you familiar with the word porridge? You might think of porridge as like oatmeal or cream of wheat, one of those hot breakfast cereals or hot meals that we eat. Do you know what the word wee, like we're using it in the story, W-E-E, the Little Wee Bear had a little wee bowl. Do you know what that means? It means tiny or small. So the word wee, if something is wee, it's tiny or small. And they each had a bed to sleep in. The wee little bear had a little wee bed. The middle-sized bear had a middle-sized bed, and the great big bear had a great big bed. One morning, the three bears made porridge for breakfast and poured it into their bowls, but it was too hot to eat. So they decided to go for a walk in the woods until it cooled. While the three bears were walking, a little girl named Goldilocks came to their house. First, she looked in at the window, and then she peeked through the keyhole. Of course, there was nobody inside. Goldilocks turned the handle of the door. Boys and girls, what do you think about Goldilocks? Well, I wonder what she's going to do next. The door was not locked because the three bears were trusting bears. They did no one any harm, and they never thought anyone would harm them. Okay, so that means they didn't lock their door because they were kind bears, and they didn't think anybody would be going into their house. So Goldilocks opened the door and went right in. There was the porridge on the table. It smelled very, very good. Goldilocks didn't stop to think whose porridge it was. She went straight to it. First, she tasted the porridge of the great big bear, but it was too hot. Then she tasted the porridge of the middle-sized bear, but it was too cold. Then she tasted the porridge of the wee little bear. It was neither too hot nor too cold, but just right. Goldilocks liked it so much that she ate it all up. Then Goldilocks went into the parlor to see what else she could find. So the parlor would be like the living room. There were 3 chairs. First, she sat down on the chair of the great big bear, but it was too hard. Then she sat down in the chair of the middle-sized bear, but it was too soft. Then she sat down in the chair of the little wee bear. It was neither too hard nor too soft, but it was just right. Goldilocks liked it so much that she rocked and rocked and rocked until the bottom of the chair fell out. Down she went, plump, onto the floor. Goldilocks went into the bedroom where the 3 bears slept. All right, so far, boys and girls, do you think Goldilocks is welcome in the bears' house? Do you think they want her there? Do you think they know she's in their house? All right, well, let's keep reading about what Goldilocks does while the bears are out on their walk. First, she lay down upon the bed of the great big bear, but it was too high at the head for her. Then she lay down upon the bed of the middle-sized bear, but it was too high at the foot for her. Then she lay down upon the bed of the wee bear. What do you think I'm going to say next? It was neither too high at the head nor too high at the foot, but just right. Goldilocks liked it so much that she covered herself up and went back to sleep. And by this time, the 3 bears thought their porridge would be cool enough. So they came home for breakfast. Goldilocks had left the spoon of the great big bear in his porridge bowl. He noticed it first thing. "Somebody has been tasting my porridge," said the great big bear in his great big voice. Goldilocks had left the spoon of the middle-sized bear in her porridge bowl too. "Somebody has been tasting my porridge," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. Then the little wee bear looked in his bowl. "Somebody has been eating my porridge and has eaten it all up," cried the wee little bear in his little wee voice. The 3 bears went into the parlor. Goldilocks had left the cushion crooked in the chair of the great big bear. He noticed it first thing. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair," said the great big bear in his great big voice. Goldilocks had squashed down the cushion of the chair of the middle-sized bear. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. Then the little wee bear looked at his chair. "Somebody's been sitting in my chair and has sat right through it," cried the little wee bear in his little wee voice. The three bears went into the bedroom. What are they going to find? Goldilocks had pulled the pillow of the great big bear out of place. He noticed it first thing. "Somebody's been lying in my bed," said the great big bear in his great big voice. Goldilocks had pulled the blanket of the middle-sized bear out of place. "Somebody's been lying in my bed," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. Then the wee little bear looked at his bed. "Somebody's been lying in my bed, and here she is," cried the little wee bear in his little wee voice. This woke Goldilocks up at once. There were three bears, all staring at her. Boys and girls, can you stare like the bears are? Eyes wide open, not moving, just staring straight at Goldilocks. Now, can you look just like Goldilocks is looking? She only has one eye open. Can you do that? All right. What do you think Goldilocks is going to do now that she sees three bears staring at her? Let's find out. Goldilocks was so frightened that she tumbled out of bed and ran to the open window. Out she jumped. And she ran away as fast as she could, never looking behind her. No one knows what happened to Goldilocks after that. As for the three bears, they never saw her again. So, boys and girls, who are the members of the bear family? A great big bear, a middle-sized bear, and a little wee bear. What did we learn the word wee means? Yeah, it means tiny. What did Goldilocks do in the three bears' home? She ate their porridge, she sat in their chairs, and she laid in their beds. What do you think of Goldilocks going into the bears' home? Was she invited into their home? Should she have gone into somebody's home? Somebody else's house? A house that didn't belong to her? The bears were surprised to find Goldilocks in their home. How do you think they felt? They may have been scared or sad. What do you think they will do the next time they go out on a walk or leave their house? I hope they do lock their doors. Often, old stories like this one have threes in them. What things were there three of in this story? There were three bears, three bowls of porridge, three chairs, and three beds. Do you think the story could really happen in real life? No, it couldn't happen in real life because real bears do not live in houses. They don't talk or eat porridge, or sit in chairs or sleep in beds. But what lessons did we learn from this story, from these three bears that acted like humans? Yep, we learned that you should lock your doors. I think that's what the bears learned. Think about Goldilocks. Yeah, we learned not to go into other people's houses. That wasn't a very nice thing for her to do. She got very scared when she found out who lived there. All right, I hope you enjoyed today's folk tale, or animal tale, as we have been saying, about the three bears. Have a great day, boys and girls.